Chris and Pat are having a conversation about schoolwork and the will of God. Pat has a rather unique understanding of how God's will works and what that means for him. Can you figure out where Pat is misunderstanding what God's will means for his life? Wow, you really bombed that science test yesterday. We're talking about major meltdown. If there was a symbol for unintelligent on the table of the periodic elements, it would be P-A-T. I'm not worried about it. I'm not surprised you're not worried. But what about the music edition this week? That didn't go well either.
Yep, it was brutal. But I'm keeping it all in perspective.
Really? What's your perspective?
It must be God's will. It must be God's will that I won't be a scientist or a musician.
Really? I can't wait to hear this. Give me your reasoning, O wise theologian.
You're the church boy. You should already know this. But you know how we learned about God's will at church? It said it happens even without our help or prayer. So if I'm getting creamed on a science test or I'm busting strings during my viola audition, then it must be God's will happening without my help.
It must be God's will, then, that you probably won't be a pastor.
Bingo.
Well, I am impressed that you listen enough at church to be able to manipulate the concept of God's will to cover up for your own laziness.
What does that mean? And could you make it quick, because I think God's will is calling me to take a nap over lunch.
It means that God's good and gracious will does indeed happen without our prayer. But we have the opportunity to seek out what it means in our life.
I think I have just done that. Thank you very much.
Do you think it's God's will to take all the gifts you've been given and waste them by not developing them?
Well, maybe.
Do you think it's God's will to not discover where your passions in life intersect with the world's needs?
Perhaps.
Do you think God's will just randomly chooses bad stuff to happen in the world?
No.
Then why are you blaming God for the results of your lazy behavior?
'Cause...
Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Well, yeah, it must be God's will that I'm burdened with your infinite wisdom.
Now you're speaking the truth. Let's go watch you fail the geometry test.
Have it your way. This old Burger King slogan could sum up American life. It's all about us and what we want. But what if what we want is actually something that would harm us? For example, have you ever wanted to stay up late on a school night? If your parents would give you what you want, what would happen to your ability to pay attention and absorb the important lessons in school the next day? Or what if what you want would actually keep you from something even better? One time when I was in middle school, my parents told me to be home by 5 p.m. I was having so much fun with my friends that I stayed a little longer and arrived home late. When I got home, I found out that my dad had wanted to take me fishing, something that I truly loved to do. But because I wasn't home on time, he ended up going fishing without me. By doing what I wanted, I missed out on something even better. As you're preparing for this weekend's catechism event, ponder this question. We can have it our way, or we can have it God's way. Which one do you want? Why?